Morning.
Morning. When we're ready, we'll get on the way with Gareth from Sky Sports News.
Gareth, first of all, how tough was it having to call Joe Hart to tell him that he wasn't going to be part of the England squad?
Yeah, sorry, just before I start, I'd just like to pay tribute, because it's at the forefront of my mind, to Ray Wilson and his family, and also to J. Lloyd Samuel's family. He was a young player at Villa, I was his captain, so both tragic events, and thoughts are with them. Yeah, obviously here now to talk about the squad, which is a very exciting moment for me as the manager. In terms of Joe, of course a difficult call. He's played in most of our qualifying matches, has been a big part of England's team in the last few years, has been a really good valued member of the squad. But of course in the end I've got to look at the performances over the course of the last 18 months with the players' clubs. Various things that go in your mind as a manager when you're picking a team and picking a squad. And in the end, the three lads we've picked have been the three best goalkeepers in the league this year, English goalkeepers. So not a conversation he wanted to have or I wanted to have, but they're the calls you have to make as a manager.
How did he take the news?
Very professionally, of course disappointed, as was Ryan Bertram when I spoke to him. Both of those two have been involved in the qualifying matches, but both very professional, there's not a lot more you can say at those moments for those players. Hopefully get the chance to pick up with them and talk to them in a bit more detail at a later point, because I know as a player that disappointment, it's good then to maybe talk it through in a few months' time.
Is the door now closed for Joe, or do you think there's a chance that he could play for England again sometime in the future?
No, absolutely. I've picked players on form, and if he's playing well for his club, why wouldn't we select him? So there's no reason that has to be the end. He's got important career decision this summer, and we hope he can resolve that smoothly, and he can be back playing at his very best.
What about Jack Wilshere? How close was he to making your squad?
Well, he's of course been in our thoughts. We selected him in March, but of course he hasn't played a game for us. We've been really pleased with the way the team played in November and in March in particular. We think we're heading on a good pathway. Pleased with the individuals that played within it. And the only midfield player we've added into that is Fabian Delph, who has had an outstanding season with Manchester City as champions. Jack, I thought, had a good spell in the lead up to Christmas and just after. I think not as effective towards the end of the season. And we think the other guys have played very well and deserve their place in the squad.
Is he a Gareth Southgate type player? Could he fit into the way you want England to play?
Well, we're very open-minded in terms of what we want. We want players who are comfortable on the ball, and of course he fits in with that. I think at this moment in time, the key for a coach is to make the most of the attributes of the players you have, to play to the strengths of your best players, and then to hide as best as you can the weaknesses of the team. That's the same for every coach. So we feel that athleticism and energy and pace, which is what we had in the last two games, are also key attributes. But we want players to use the ball. We want creativity. In the likes of Lingard, Ali, Loftus-Cheek, Sterling, Rashford, we have a lot of creativity. So we want to be able to be flexible as a team and adaptable as a team, and we have a good balance of those types of players in the squad.
Why are Joe and Jack not on the standby list? Was that your decision or their decision?
No, my decision. I think once you make a call, particularly with senior players, then you have to look at the standby list as a separate entity, and what are the qualities that you're looking for from those people? What are the requirements? The likelihood is those guys don't get called into the squad. Having said that, history tells us that maybe one or two do. So there's opportunity for those guys that are on the standby list. Each of those scenarios is slightly different, but in the goalkeeping situation in particular, very unlikely that the number 4 becomes the number 3, and very unlikely that the number 3 then is used in the team. So you've got to have, with Tom, it's a lift for him, I think, to be involved in that capacity. He's an outstanding character. He's coming in understanding the role. I think if you've been the number 1 and then you're asked to fulfil that role, that's a very different challenge. And I think the best thing for Joe now is to get his future sorted out this summer and focus on next season for him.
You were talking about goalkeepers. Isn't it a huge risk going to the World Cup with 3 goalkeepers who have so few caps, who don't have any tournament experience, who haven't played in the Champions League before?
Yeah, but they're the best 3 goalkeepers, English goalkeepers we have in the league. So we're not picking young players or inexperienced players because they're young and we're trying to buy ourselves time. We're picking young players because we believe they're the best in their positions for the way that we want to play and the style that we want to play. With the goalkeepers, they've been the best 3. Okay, maybe it's brave to take players without the number of caps, but I think we've got to give these guys belief. What we've tried to do over the last few months is look at younger players, be brave enough to play them, and as I say, we're picking them not because they're young, but they're the best in their positions, and we know they're not the finished article. We know that we don't have the number of caps or experience that the Germans have, the Brazilians have, the Spanish have, but that's where we are at the moment as a country. We pick from 33% of the league. It's quite a unique situation for us as an England squad. But I think there's an excitement about the route we're going. I think we're starting to make a connection back with the fans. We're rebuilding confidence in the team, but that is a bit of a process. And we've got to make sure that we continue to improve and focus on our performances over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Why did you decide to put Trent Alexander-Arnold in the squad?
Because